thinking, oh, well, if we had two people making money, then that would, and to a degree it's true, but if you had a woman that's supporting you so that you could make 10 times as much money, that's better.
Here's the exact opposite. And you even asked me, and I said, a woman shouldn't be needy until she's like married in a committed relationship.
I take accountability for you as a human. Like you're my wife or you're my girlfriend or whatever it is, but I am going to protect and provide for you. Like you're under my wing.
That's also why women don't want to be needy. And that's also what they're afraid of.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like the love languages that we were talking about in the last week where, you know, it's someone else's love language might be different. But
right. Exactly.
Because you have to know what, and I think part of that too comes from the confusion, just like I said, with the roles itself, right? Because you know, if a guy's like, well, I work all day, right? And I do all this stuff. So a woman might say, well, is he saying that I need to be working too? Or like, is he saying it's not fair because I'm not working or because I'm not cleaning up the house or whatever? Like, and it's like, or doing all these activities or doing stuff. And for some guys, that is what they mean, which is that's not smart, because that's not what you need as a man, right? You know, it's like you don't need her to make more money or to start her own business or to do that stuff. That's not what's going to help you as much as what you think. You know, a lot of young guys that are, you know, thinking, oh, well, if we had two people making money, then that would, and to a degree it's true, but if you had a woman that's supporting you so that you could make 10 times as much money, that's better, right? And so I think that's where the confusion comes, is that role for a woman is fairly simple. It doesn't have to be all that other stuff. It's not on an equal level. We talked about, I think, in another podcast episode maybe 2 weeks ago, about how in a man's world, in a man's mind, it's all about being productive and what are you doing and what are you accomplishing and making money, and a lot of men judge women by that, and that's not the standard to judge a woman by. But I think understanding that role, because if you as a woman don't understand that role and what is actually important to support the man, then you're going to think, oh, well, I guess I need to be doing all this other stuff too.
Well,
right?
I think women are confused, and they do think that because men have made them think that, if I'm being honest. Like, that's also why, too, when a guy says that, she goes straight to, okay, I should get a job then. Or like, because it also sounds like he's complaining. And a lot of men do complain about women not having a job or making money, or they call them dependents, or, you know, like women are seeing all this stuff.
Right.
So it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. And again, like, she shouldn't base her actual relationship on the things that she's hearing on the internet. But most women have faced those sort of comments. And then they have also realized, okay, well, if I do bring 50-50 to this relationship, I have 50% of the say and he doesn't have 100. And if he's talking to me like this, then I don't want him to have 100. You know what I mean? Right. But it is, men are perpetuating women acting this way. They might come for me in the comments with their pitchforks, but it is the truth. And it goes back to a lot of other episodes that we've done, that they need to value femininity. Right. They need to value what makes a woman, because even in the conversation we had the other night, and I think this is so important to bring up, you told me that it's okay to be needy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel like every woman here's the exact opposite. And you even asked me, and I said, a woman shouldn't be needy until she's like married in a committed relationship, because that, like, the way you explained it, you're like, it makes me feel closer to you. Right. But in the beginning, it actually repels men away. So it is a weird balance, right? Yeah. And so when you asked me that, I'm like, it's hard for women to go from don't be needy. And especially men are also telling women, don't be needy. Right. And then, but then you're like, be needy. And I'm like,
I got the answer for you. All right. So if I as a man, well, and there's two pieces to it because we did talk about the needy, but the pretending like you're not needy, right? So that repulses. Maybe we'll start with that one. So the first one is, and we talked about this, is that when you're needy, but then you're acting like you're not, or that you don't need, it's a weird thing, but people do it, right?
Well, you can tell the difference between like
when it's like
people who are really needy and are trying to act cool about it,
exactly.
like not needy.
That's repulsive because it's like I want you to help me out or to be with me but I don't want to drop the pride to admit that I want that.
Right.
And that's repulsive, right? That's what that neediness is repulsive, right? But I think the real answer comes down to this. If I as a man have stepped up and said, I take I was going to say ownership, but I take accountability for you as a human. Like like you're my wife or you're my girlfriend or whatever it is, but I am going to protect and provide for you. Like you're under my wing, right? Then being needy is great because that's what you want as a man. If you are in that role, and if a person is under your protection, for them to come to you and be like, I need your protection, please help me. Like I want you, like I appreciate you, like, to say I'm scared, I need you to help me out. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel, the key thing to men's psychology is men need to feel useful, right? It makes them feel useful. But if that's not the case, which is like before you get married or wherever, take the relationship to that level, then the neediness doesn't quite hit. Then it's more of a like a red flag type of issue.
Well, there's another problem.
Okay.
Because going back to what we talked about too. So if you're needy and you ask a man to help with things and then he holds them against you, that's also why women don't want to be needy, and that's also what they're afraid of. So I'm just trying to paint the full picture here because it's not black and white in a woman's mind. It's actually like every color that you could ever imagine, because you feel like, especially as a woman, you feel like you have to make sure you're not making a choice that might be dangerous. You know what I mean?
How so?
Like that you pick the right man
to be
with.
Course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's like we do sometimes get mixed signals, and I know men get mixed signals from women too. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but there have been times where people will be needy, and then the things that they asked for are thrown back in their face. So it's like, how do you navigate that as a woman? How do you be needy and vulnerable? And I know you have to just do it is probably what you're just going to tell me. But as a woman, though, it does hurt and makes you want to go back to how you were and be more masculine when you are vulnerable and someone takes the things you asked them for when they told you to ask for things and then uses them against you. Does that make sense? Because I think when we had the whole episode about vulnerability, there's a different vulnerability to own up to something.
Yeah.
But it's also different to have your vulnerability weaponized. And that's what that is. And so that instance, I feel like would make women want to be less vulnerable. Yeah. But like we mentioned, that there is invulnerability to being vulnerable. But the thing is, any person in general, if someone was like, be needy, tell me what you need and I'll do it for you. And then everything was like held against them, they would not do that anymore. And that's essentially what men have done to women, right? I think like the men that haven't healed themselves.
Well, okay. I think that there's an over caution or worry about this. So, and I think that comes from on what we're saying is being needy, quote needy, right? So just asking for things, right, can be the repulsive kind of needy.
Like
right?
what kind of things? Like, help me open this jar.
Well, that's probably not good, but it could be. It could be the repulsive kind of needy if you're asking for that, but you're not giving the credit of you're a big, strong man and I can't do this myself and I need your help, right?
Okay.
That is not going to be held against you. It's not going to be be looked at.
Some guys still could. They get pissed and they'll be like, "You can't even open a jar."
I mean, it's.
Don't act like guys wouldn't say something like that.
I know, but in general, it's not like it's an actual vulnerability, an actual right.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like, can you open this jar for me? And
I just don't feel like it, but I could.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it's like, no, you have to acknowledge. Like as a woman, you have to acknowledge, right? You have to acknowledge your man and be like, you're bigger than me, you're stronger than me, you can work harder than me, like you do this stuff. Like a man has to feel like a woman actually is needy to him, is vulnerable to him because she needs him, not because she's just needy, right? And that's the difference. And when you come in that way, then it's instinctual.
Better than